Hey everyone, it's your pal Drew, doing this all over again. The audio on my camera is so mystifying. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's get right to it. Marvel 2-in-1, Thing and Thor. The first time they teamed up in this title. As I've mentioned before, Marvel 2-in-1 is probably my favorite series. One of my favorite because you had blue-eyed, the blue-eyed, ever-loving Thing as the main character. So I remember getting this. I traded my friend Rick. We did a lot of trading back and forth because the Marvel Universe was so expansive. We couldn't afford everything. And I was much more of a comic collector than he was. But so he didn't mind parting with some and switching. Well, here we go. Beautiful Gil Kane cover. Maybe it's Giacoya. I don't know, ink in it. But these poses like they're about to smack each other is just amazing. I would say Benji would have the advantage there because he's already mid-swing and Thor is like winding up for a big swing. So, and with the puppet master. So it is plotted by Steve Gerber, who had been writing the book periodically. He did issue 5, I think, with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And Chris Claremont, newbie, he did the script. Herb Trimpe and Joe Gila, who is known as a DC inker for so long. I think he did a lot of the Silver Age stuff, like Green Lantern and whatnot. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's not known as a Marvel inker. And the results are fascinating to me. It's so different. That little Kirby swipe there, but who cares? This came out in, it says May 75, so that means like January. It's a long story. Well, it turns out that first page was just a puppet show. But look how, generally, Herbie inks himself, and he has been inked very heavily in a good way. Like just real, like strong, bold blacks and stuff like that. So, and the guy saying thank you from the bottom of my heart to my puppets, thank you. And Benji's like, I know, Puppet Master is long dead and buried, even though this guy reminds me of him. He gets the Beatlemania treatment. Can I have your autograph? So, scream, my brutish thing. Yes, scream as loud as you can, for soon you will be screaming in earnest, in deadly earnest. So, he gets a parking ticket, and I love that second panel with that little bit of the brim of his hat covering his eyeball. And they almost get hit by Thor. And as I mentioned many a time, I love these little comments at the bottom, the little promotion blurbs, and so it's so different. Does it look different for Herb Trimpe in a good way? It's really unique, and it's a Puppet Master. What's really cool about this issue is that this was the first time Puppet Master reverted back to his natural physique, where he had a big old head and he was a short guy. And for the most part, though, that was forgotten. He was given super villain, big old muscles, and he had a normal proportioned head. And then even later, when he showed up when a Power Man got possessed by one of Puppet Master's dolls, George Perez reverted him back to normal. It wasn't until John Byrne, many years later, that he sort of got back to how he originally was designed. That's a great Kirby-esque panel. Isn't it interesting how wistful the inks are? It's so different. How about that right there, first panel? Man, I love that impression of the hammer. And this is 75. Johnny's wearing the red uniform. There's a whole long story about that, but I'll cover it elsewhere. Really, really nice stuff there. I would almost say that didn't look like a Trimpe face. You've got a Trimpe face. Oh no. See how sharp that is? Some pages are printed better than others. This one's page. This is pretty well done. And you'll see how the rocks on the thing are a little bit different because of Gila. Because Trimpe was pretty much spot on when he would draw the thing. And there is the only Doctor in the Marvel Universe. It's so funny. Anytime the Avengers need a doctor, anytime anybody needs a doctor, it's always Dr. Don Blake. It's never anybody else. I mean, I know the Marvel Universe is supposed to be, kind of compact. It's sort of its own thing. But it got a little ridiculous. It's like, you need a lawyer? Matt Murdock will show up. Nobody else. So, and it wasn't necessarily to promote Daredevil's comic early on, yeah. But later on, Radion, the Atomic Man. First appearance of him. So the book's worth like $1,000 now. So I'm just putting you on. Well, Puppet Master's going after the thing again. I really dig that. Like early on in Daredevil's career, he showed up in Fantastic Four and in SpiderMan because it wasn't selling that great out of the box. Really fun stuff here. And what's happening is the radioactive dolls. The guy Radon, the radioactive man guy, he lost his power because he's in proximity of Wondar, who I'm trying to be real quick about his origin. It was Steve Gerber's like nudge of how he would do Superman. Basically, the baby Kal-El, if he grew up to be adult, but he still had a childlike mind. So there was a lot of destruction going on before the kid clued in. And I call him the kid even though he's fully grown, but he's got a child's mind. So he absorbs radioactivity within any proximity. So he takes off. How about that? Wow. Yeah. And Wondar just says, Uncle Benji, you heard Uncle Benji. And I love the ending because he says, Odin protect you, my friend, until we meet again. Yeah, well, sure, see you around, Blondie. We both could have been killed today, and it don't matter a hoot to him. He couldn't care less. Whatever's eating at him, kids, it's got to be big, very big, the poor galoot. And what's cool is during that time, there was a bit of an upheaval at Thor. It didn't even need, like, footnotes that were going on. I just thought that was really cool. And then we go to Konga's Revenge. I've never seen the word second printing put on a cover before or after. There've been plenty of second printings of other books. So Charlton's cheapest of the main publishers. So the cover is just take the first page and it says second printing 1968, and the Mastrosio, you think with all the Italian names I know would be right, and Montez did the art. Supposedly, the covers credit to Dick Giordano, but he didn't. And I don't think he would claim credit either because it's so different from his style. It's basically King Kong. They give him a different name. And the art's sort of there, But, it's a lot of fun. I got this cheap because it's more of a curiosity for me than something that I would collect purposefully. And now we got Trio. This came out, like 10, 15 years ago. And John Byrne's solo work for IDW. His previous solo work, he did a lot of Star Trek type stuff for IDW before that. His creator-owned stuff was basically Dark Horse Comics, where he did Babe, which kind of sucked. And then he did Danger Incorporated, which was not that interesting. And then he did Newman before that with Dark Horse. But Trio, I'm really intrigued by it. I'd love to see more of that. What I like is rock, paper, scissors. And I'm covering up this symbol from World War II that some bad guy with a bad mustache started because algorithms, baby, they're all Their poison is still shut you down. This might have been intended for shiny paper because this is just a big blurry mess. But you know what? I love matte paper. I wish they would get rid of shiny paper because it's just too garish, and you see this is printing perfectly fine. Gotta do that again. Very, very Mike Mignola. They had worked together on Hellboy. He did the scripting for the first Hellboy miniseries. I love the design. And let me see. It's really good. I wish he could have continued with it. And he had done a character similar to that, like a two-dimensional character named Flatman for the what was it? Not the West Coast Avengers, Great Lakes Avengers, which was in his short-lived West Coast Avengers run. Really beautiful stuff. It's like prime burned. And then for a while, Marvel kept doing a lot of reprint books, and for some reason they stopped it for a year. Then he brought it back. Marvel Super Action was a Captain America reprint comic, and they changed it to the Avengers for whatever reason. Now, I had this reprints Avengers 59. I had the story from 60 and the Marvel Treasury Edition number 7, which had the Avengers featured. But I never read the previous issue, so this was on the stands. I thought, what the heck? Roy Thomas, John Buscema, George Klein, and Yellowjacket. I mean, looks great there. John Buscema was doing his like really strong Baroque kind of Michelangelo kind of figure work, and great stuff. And the Black Panther just joined like half a year prior, and in the 60s that was a big deal. I know I keep bringing this up, but the DC editors at the time, like the Mort Weisingers and all that, they wouldn't have any of that. They didn't want to take a chance. They, in fact, there was an issue of Teen Titans that came out, that one of the first books that Marv Wolfman ever wrote. It had a black lead character as the pivotal character in the story, and it got changed substantially, and the black guy was gone, and I think it was called Jericho, not the Mute who from the later Teen Titan books, but he shows up, and looks like he's pulling some chewing gum, but he's actually just going with his fingers like a smoking gun. Oh no, he says, I killed him, I polished him off. A little flashback here. He's about to eat Yellowjacket. That'd be funny. He never did bite me, guys, when he was giant. So what happens is Yellowjacket takes him out, shrinks him small, never to be heard from a gang. And he kidnaps a wasp, and he takes liberties, but he says, you might as well go. Of course, somehow I don't want him to. So let's put 2 and 2 together, buddy. That's a great panel there. And she's like, stop, I'm going to marry him. And then we find out later that Yellowjacket is Goliath, actually, with a split personality because some chemicals fell in his office, or his lab. This was my first issue of Spider-Man ever. Before this, I had the Marvel Treasury Edition, which had Spider-Man, 100 pages of greatness. So this is the first newsstand. That was on the newsstand, but this is my first single issue. Look at that cover. If that's next to anything else, how could you not pick that up? There's so much drama going around. And you can see it's well read, it's well loved. The Green Goblin strikes again, and it's Pete with MJ wearing her midriff bra top, or whatever you call it back then. That was very much a style. The bell bottoms, Gary Conway, Ross Andrew, and it's inked by Frank Giacoia and Dave Hunt, who was the assistant to Frank Giacoia before he became a great inker on his own. And also he worked with Mike Esposito. This came out in the late summer '74. Now look at these backgrounds. That's just amazing stuff. And just the general storytelling. She's about to open the door. She says, "Let me do it." Male chauvinists always open the women's door for them. Why can't a female do the same? I remember chauvinist was the big word at the time, and so was masochist. And I was like, I had no idea what they were talking about at the time. But never mind the fact that he was going to open his own door, not hers. Explosion, baby. It's horrible. And I love like the dingy, smoky effect of the dust and the dirt. His apartment's demolished. And Andrew loved to do this too. And he's hiding his Spidey costume because the cops will be near, as well as the fire department. And Mary Jane's in a hospital, and it's tweaking out Petey, understandably. And he thinks this whole page is a flashback. And I didn't know that I didn't know what a Gwen Stacy was, and I didn't know she had died recently, but wow, what an impact. That's how you do a flashback. You don't go beat for beat. That's amazing design. Ross Andrew was brilliant, and the unfair thing is he had to follow John Romita. And if you follow John Romita, it's like you're never going to be, you're not going to be given the fair shake. But, his storytelling was just, look at that. And he took his own photos. He went all around, different parts of Manhattan and, the Bronx and some other places to reference. So, he sees there's dust, but it's not dust. It's like dry soap, fake as the proverbial $3 bill. Proverbial was a word they used a lot. Gets in a hammock, extremely moody. Wow, what an entrance! And that's been repurposed for a million things, from like stickers to just all kinds of stuff, advertising. So cut the bunk, Harry, because he was trying to make out like he was his father reincarnated. I must be a ghost. Love that. Look at that. He grabs the top of the frame of the door. And he gets back on it after causing Spider-Man to bang his head. That's great there. And the exhaust from the jet flyer has a gas. It sort of knockout gas. He's about to blow Spidey away, but nothing. His power. He must have used up the last of his energy, so he takes off. And the thing is, I had not read the follow-up 137 for years and years and years, because back issues weren't really a thing at the time, and I think it was like 4 years later I bought it. But it didn't matter. This book was so good. It was actually, even if the Goblin didn't show up the next issue, it could have been, years from now for him to come back. It's very satisfying as itself. It doesn't need part 2, but part 2 is great also. So that's about it. And man, the cover's great. So have a good day, and that's all I know.